The Rolling Stone piece that ended General McChrystal's career raises an intriguing journalistic question. Could this have happened with a military beat reporter? Joining us now is a woman with plenty of experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, CBS's chief foreign correspondent, Lara Logan. Welcome. If you had been traveling with General McChrystal and heard these comments about Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Jim Jones, Richard Holbrooke, would you have reported them?
Well, it really depends on the circumstances. It's hard to know here. Michael Hastings, if you believe him, says that there were no ground rules laid out. And I mean, that just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because if you look at the people around General McChrystal, if you look at his history, he was the Joint Special Operations Commander. He has a history of not interacting with the media at all. And his Chief of Intelligence, Mike Flynn, is the same. I mean, I know these people. They never let their guard down like that. To me, something doesn't add up here. I don't believe it.
When you are out with the troops and you're living together and sleeping together, is there an unspoken agreement that you're not going to embarrass them by reporting insults and banter?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes, absolutely. There is an element of trust. And what I find is the most telling thing about what Michael Hastings said in your interview is that he talked about his manner as pretending to build an illusion of trust. And he's laid out there what his game is. That is exactly the kind of damaging type of attitude that makes it difficult for reporters who are genuine about what they do, who don't distinguish. I don't go around in my personal life pretending to be one thing and then being something else. I mean, I find it egregious that anyone would do that in their professional life. And I mean, I take that to the point of even when I apply to interview someone about something difficult and they want to know the areas of the interview, I might not say, well, we're going to spend the whole interview on this, but I will list that. I will list that controversial issue.
You don't want to blindside them.
Because I don't believe in that.
But don't beat reporters be nice? Aren't they nice to people to gain their confidence? And sometimes they have to write things that are not flattering.
Of course. I mean, the military is a good example. I have never been, they never know what to do with me because I've never been accused of being of being right-wing, and, you know, they want to paint me as left-wing because they expect the media to be that way. But if you look at my body of work, it's always been accurate and fair. Now, Michael Hastings might look at my body of work and say, oh, there's an example of another one of those reporters, unlike me, that didn't go and tell the truth because they wanted to come back. That's not the case at all.
He says that all the things that have been written about Stanley McChrystal being these glowing profiles, he's suggesting that he did a job that the regular beat journalists have not done. I
think that's insulting and arrogant myself. I really do, because there are very good beat reporters who've been covering these wars for years, year after year. I mean, Michael Hastings appeared on Baghdad fairly late in the scene, and he was there for a significant period of time. He has his credentials, but he's not the only one. There are a lot of very good reporters out there, and to be fair to the military, if they believe that a piece is balanced, they will let you back. They may not have loved it. They didn't love the piece I did about, hand grenades being thrown in Iraq that were killing troops. They didn't love that piece. It made a lot of people very angry. They didn't block me from coming back.
The Washington Post quoted an unnamed senior military official as saying that Michael Hastings broke the off-the-record ground rules. But the person who said this was on background, wouldn't allow his name to be used. Is that fair?
Well, it's kryptonite right now. I mean, do you blame him? The commanding general in Afghanistan just lost his job. Who else is going to lose his job? Believe me, all the senior leadership in Afghanistan are waiting for the axe to fall. I've been speaking to some of them. They don't know who's going to stay and who's going to go. I mean, the question is really, is what General McChrystal and his aides were doing so egregious that they deserved to end a career like McChrystal's? I mean, Michael Hastings has never served his country the way McChrystal has.
Is this going to prompt the military in general, the commanders in Afghanistan in particular, to be more wary of journalists?
Of course, because what you see is not what you get. Clearly, you've got someone who's making friends with you, pretending to be sympathetic, pretending to be something that they're not, and then they're taking what you say. When you start an article with General McChrystal making obscene gestures, you're not even using something that he said. And Rolling Stone magazine put their own spin on this. They said that the greatest enemy for McChrystal is the wimps in Washington. Nowhere in the article does McChrystal refer to the wimps in Washington. That's Rolling Stone magazine, how they chose to cast this to make it as sensational as possible. And that was, with intent.
After President Obama surprised people by first relieving General McChrystal of his command and then hiring General David Petraeus, hiring him in the sense of making him the Afghan war commander, Bill O'Reilly on his Fox News show played some clips that have been put together by the Conservative Media Research Center, the Newsbusters site. I want to show that to you now.
Sounds like a pretty brilliant decision, really.
This is nothing less than a stunning development, Brian, and quite frankly, at a quick glance, almost brilliant.
Politically, in this town, it's going to be seen as a brilliant choice by the president.
A very brilliant move to tap General Petraeus.
So the suggestion is the liberal media are in love with David Petraeus and they're falling into line.
Well, if they had said it was a bad decision, then it would be in the liberal media hate David Petraeus, and they're not falling into line. The bottom line is it's very hard to find something wrong with this decision by the president, because there was only one general in the United States Army that has the political weight and influence in Washington to survive this. Anybody else going into that position who wasn't tested, who wasn't proven, who didn't have political connections, would have been a lame duck. They would have been able to do nothing. They wouldn't have been able to fight for the strategy. President Obama faced a serious choice here. Was his strategy going to die with General McChrystal? Because there's a lot of opposition from very powerful people in Washington who want to move to a different model of counterterrorism and not counterinsurgency. The only way that he had to silence the critics and really to move on, this reassured the troops. This reassured the commanders. This reassured people who were in favor, that the Afghans, the allies. I mean, that's why people are calling it brilliant, maybe because it was brilliant.
And Petraeus is much more press-savvy, I think, than
much more press-savvy
his man he is succeeding. Lara Logan, thanks very much for coming in this morning. We appreciate it.